when I was 24, 25, I was making very good money and I fell into depression. Dad told me, make money and you'll be successful. I was like, yeah, I've done it now. That's it. I went into a part where at the time I was driving an Aston Martin, and I used to get into the Aston Martin every morning, and I used to say to whoever it was up there, could you please just take me away? And it was so weird because I used to actually visualize that something would take me away. That's where I was at that point. And I think that was an interesting perspective of death because I was fearful of taking the action. That's why I wanted somebody else to do the job for me. But I felt too depressed because I didn't understand why we're here and there was no point in life anymore. That's what I thought. And so I also felt ready to go at the same time. It was a very interesting thing, but I was fearful of taking the action.
Guys, welcome to another episode of Jibber with Jabber. Today I am joined by Master Sri Akarshana. Is that right?
Akarshana, yes.
Akarshana, right. So, welcome to... you've been to Dubai quite a few times before, right? So it's
quite a few times,
It's not much of a welcome to Dubai, but it's a welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, question. So we were speaking about this before. So you have a title now, right? And I asked you, do people still call you by your name? And do you like people to call you by your name? How does that work when you've kind of changed something that you've had pretty much your whole life up till now?
I think at first it's probably, transition. So it's getting used to it. But now it's the other way around. When people say, Eric, I'm kind of like, sorry.
Like where? Yeah.
Oh, yes. All right. So there's a bit of disconnect. I feel, so people can call me whatever they want to call me. But I feel that I just feel very disconnected when people do say it. It's like if I said, hey, John, it's like,
who's John? It's not me. Yeah.
You'll speak to me, you'll answer the questions, but you suddenly feel like, hey, maybe we're not friends or something. It feels a bit like that now. Yeah.
What about old friends? Because it must have been a weird conversation to say to an old friend when they're just like, and you're like, actually, it's master now, please.
But I don't bother. Because there's no need. Yeah. It's not for that reason. The past is the past. They're there. Yeah. I was in UK just 2 days ago, yesterday morning actually, and so. I caught up with an old friend of mine, so they'll call Eric, and I'll just leave it. Yeah, because it's hard. It's tough. They won't understand. I'm sure you'll probably have the same feeling when sometimes you go back to UK or you catch up with some friends from school. Yeah. You ask them how's things. They say same old, and then they ask you how's things, and at first you kind of want to explain. I've did this, I've did that, I've set up this, and I'm doing a podcast show now. But then when their answer is same old, sometimes it's like rubbing it in their face. So sometimes you're just like, same.
And also it's like an energy thing, right? Well, like their energy goes one way and you're like, well, I don't really want to.
So you don't bother.
You don't it doesn't give me much to say when you're like same old. I'm like, okay, so you don't really want to talk about anything, right? You just want me to say same old and then carry on with the thing. Yeah. But I feel like people, maybe it's a London thing or an England thing, that people genuinely, like you said, just say same old. And it's very strange, especially when you haven't seen someone for ages. Like I went back and some of the friends that I left were literally in the same clothes I left them in. I'm like, it's been 10 years. Nothing's changed. You haven't progressed either spiritually or mentally or anything. You're just literally just stuck in on that same train, just going to the same destination, and there's been no difference.
But that probably isn't down to people in UK though. Not just that. I mean, yes, they have a bit of a more miserable type of response, like the weather, like we were saying before. But I think it might not be that. It might be because I'm sure here in Dubai or anywhere else in US or anywhere, there's probably been people who've been doing the same work and job for the past 20 years. we are the people who have left the space, entered into a new space, and generally people who leave out of comfort zone to go somewhere else are more forward-thinking people because they want change, right? So that's why whenever we return, we feel like, hey, everybody here is so,
it's just
you know,
the same, yeah.
But I think it's probably because we've changed, you know?
Yeah. How important is change?
I don't think it's important at all.
No?
It's a personal affair. It's like, if you want to change, change. If you don't want to change, don't change. I have friends, you know, they say to me, oh, I can't get out of my job. I say, okay, that's fine. Because in reality, what they probably don't know is deep down inside, they don't really want to get out of their job. If you really, like, if a gun was pointed to you, you'll be out of your job. So it's not, I think it's, if you have the desire, you'll do it. If you don't have the desire, don't do it. Some people are happy in their comfort zone. Although it's not real happiness, or maybe on a higher level of consciousness happiness, but it is happiness to them. And that's all you can account for, really.
Yeah. Pardon me. Do you think that, you know, a big part of it is the fear of change? Because there's something about knowing that you're doing something and knowing that if you take that step, that huge load of accountability comes in where, okay, if I'm going to do this properly, then I'm going to be accountable for a lot of things I need to do to change. So do you think a lot of people are rather like, I'd rather just stay where I am instead of having to go through all this?
It is. It's just fear.
Yeah.
Fear of unknown. Getting out of their comfort zone. People are just fearful. But it's normal because we're creatures of habit. We buy into something and then it's easier just to be there, you know? So definitely a fear thing.
Where did the name or the phrase, the yogi with the Lamborghini, come from? I'm sure you've had that in every...
Yeah, I want... Look, the thing is this... I mean, to make it a bit shorter, I embarked on a journey out into the Himalayas. I grew up in a very materialistic world. My dad told me, you have to make money and you'll be successful. I made a bunch of money and I got lost, confused. Got into charity work, started to learn about giving, service, and got into the spiritual world. And then when I got into the spiritual world, all meditation, yoga, all that, I realized that there's so many spiritual people who are very full of self-love and compassion and everything's so beautiful until they open their eyes. Because when they look at the four walls and they're looking at their kids and they don't know how to pay the bills, all that high vibrational stuff that they talk about suddenly is out the door because they're stressed. And I'm like, why is there a divide? And I always see this divide between the spiritual people who are the woo-woo crazy, you know, go hug a tree hippies. And then you have the other people who are just constantly chasing one goal after another. And then, but it doesn't matter who it is. We always ask, and I'm sure you've asked the same question somewhere in your life before, why are we here? Why do we do what we do? What's the point of all of this? Do we live and die and work and make money and then die? What's the point? And that's that big question: purpose, consciousness, fulfillment, spirituality, spiritual awakening. And when I realized that there's this big divide, I said, hey, I think what the world really needs is they need to bridge the gap. They need to understand that, hey, yes, we are spiritual beings, we're metaphysical, we're energy, but we're living in a physical world. Like, whether you like it or not, you live in a house and the house requires you to pay bills and that requires money. So when you say money's not important, what, you know, you say you're so spiritual, but there's some consciousness that's missing. You know, who's going to feed your kids? So when I realized that, I said, okay, how do I get this message out there? Because it's going to be abrupt. Whatever it is, it's going to be, people are not going to accept it. You tell a spiritual person, you say money is important, they're like, oh, you're stuck in the, you know, 3D world, and you know, you're stuck in the matrix. They
charge for their courses. So this is a big thing as well.
And they still get paid when they're in their job. Yeah. So it's like they still work for money. So there's that. And then you've got the other side of the spectrum who just don't get what is this whole woo-woo thing. What's the point, you know? It's like, just go and get a job already, you know? And I said, how do you bridge the gap? And I thought, you know, the only way is to, well, first of all, I'm sure you know this as well, is that when we want to get a message out there, you have to get eyeballs. And in today's world, that way is through media, social media. And we always say in social media that there's only two things you want to get, really, if you want to get a message across. You want to get the attention, and you want to get the retention. And how are you going to get the attention? Well, I was thinking, well, I could go on, be all spiritual. So I turn on the camera, I say, namaste, everybody, let's just all breathe together, and then listen to the angels. And, you know, we can speak all that language. That's fine. But I said, who's that going to help? Because I know what's going to do. All the people who resonate with that message will be, oh yeah, namaste, I love this person. He's all full of love and stuff. Hey, but I didn't get my message across. My message was supposed to be, get your physical life sorted as well. And I thought the same to the other side of the world, where I want to help the people who, like, there's plenty of those in Dubai, all bling bling, extremely rich,
but nothing
chasing. And there's something that's missing there. I said, how do I reach those guys? Oh, very simple. Just put a Lamborghini in front of them. Once they click on the Lamborghini, they come in and I say love and press. Yeah, you see, so I was like, what is this dude talking about? So I said, I have to be abrupt. But we also need to understand that when you do something like that, you need to be ready for the
backlash. That's what I was going to ask. Was you getting a lot
of course. But when I spoke to my spiritual master about it, he said, what are you doing this for? I said, because I want to help people. He said, so that doesn't matter then. And I came to this realization over time that, you know, like, people look on social media today. The moment they see Yogi with a Lamborghini, they're, oh my God, first of all, the spiritual people, oh my God, this person's not spiritual. Then the physical people are like, what's wrong with this guy? Why did he dress like that? Why did he speak like, what's he talking about? All this woo language, manifestation, you know? But I got your attention. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is the mission or the vision is way bigger than me. If it was about me, I want to just be cool and fit in. But I don't care what you think, because I know the stats. And the stats are, I get 300,000 views a day. I get people who are on the borderline of suicide coming to me and saying, thank you, you changed my life. And the people who come from there, a lot of the people we speak to, oh, I remember that Yogi and Lamborghini video, I clicked on it. I was into material world. Oh, wow, great. I wouldn't have got those clicks. I wouldn't have saved the right people. I wouldn't have got the message across to bridge the two if I didn't use this way of marketing.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the disconnect. There is so much you're either or. Do you know what I mean? And I find that really strange. I was talking to a friend of mine about this, and I had an opinion that there are so many people out there who claim to be the most spiritual people, and their intention is only to help people. And the same with martial arts teachers. I'm really into martial arts. And people are like, oh, this guy's doing it just because he wants to make martial arts grow in the world and stuff. And then I was thinking, yeah, but it's not free. Like, surely, if your only intention is to spread the martial art, it should be free. Or if you're that much of a pious, humble martial artist who just wants to push the martial art, make enough money for your survival, and then let the rest. Do you know how many people can't afford to do these classes? Do you know what I mean? So I like the mix of the two.
But the thing is, the humble people are not humble.
That's the point that I was making. So I was saying, if they really were,
I am a humble person is their flex.
Like anyone who tells you they're humble isn't humble,
yes,
right? Yeah.
When the person who's humble says, oh, look at those people all flashing their stuff, I don't believe in, I'm not like that. Yeah. When I make donation, I don't tell anybody about it. You just told me about it,
exactly,
dude.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You wouldn't know a humble person.
Yeah.
So it's this false reality that people buy into, you know, but it works. We have to say that the mass population is not so conscious, so they buy into it.
So let's talk about enlightenment. What is enlightenment to you?
There's levels to it. There's so many levels to it.
Let's climb the ladder.
I think if we talk about it from the basic stage, we will say the mass, they are just working and fulfilling something else, and they've been conditioned by society, and they don't know why they do what they do, but they just do it because everybody else does it, right? So that's the mass. They're not that conscious. The next level are the people who start getting into personal development. Oh my God, you're saying I can create my own future? Oh my God, thoughts equals actions, and actions equal, results. And wow, I had never thought about that before. Oh wow, I changed my belief system and I changed my life. That's crazy, right? So that's the next level. The people who are now, okay, I'm into personal development, and they start watching all things, going to the events and, getting courses and all that, finding a coach. And then you get the next level who are then, okay, I'm enlightened by it all. So I've learned all this. I know how to better my life and I've got some results doing it. And then you get the next level, which is the guru stage, which is, and this is natural for people because contribution is one of the, basic human needs. When we learn something and we've produced some results, naturally we feel like that doesn't satisfy us anymore to create more results. We want to pass the message to somebody else, which we try to preach. And that's a funny process in itself, because when we preach to people who are totally unaware, they're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not that easy, Yeah. And they'll go into that phase. But even in the guru stage, and this is interesting because even in the guru stage, it's not really enlightened at the highest level, because when does a person get unhappy during a guru stage is when they try to help people and people won't listen. I'm sure we've all had that conversation before. You can empower millions of people around the world. You just go home. Your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad is being negative. You try to tell them, be positive. They don't know what you're talking about. You have an argument. What just happened there, I don't think people usually see. Somebody who was very negative, you class yourself as extremely positive. Two people come together. Your intent and your goal was to better their life, help them. Out of the equation, when you left the conversation, guess what? You became negative. Isn't it? Because now you're like, oh, I can't believe it. Why did they not understand what I'm saying? And then you get upset and angry and whatever, frustrated in the argument. But then if you are still consumed by human emotions and attachment to what other people think and why people are the way they are, how can you truly be fulfilled all the time? Because you're always going to be engaged with other people's opinions and thoughts and what they're doing. The level beyond that is then just being. Acceptance. There is no need. And I believe on the highest levels of enlightenment, there is no need. Like I can say, what am I working towards? I can say, okay, I'm working towards building a bigger community. Great. And if you don't, doesn't matter. I'm going to engage in this conversation, and if this person wants to ask for help, then I'll help. If they don't ask for help, then I'm just going to listen. I'm going to witness. Because I should not allow any negative person to influence my vibration or my emotion right now. And people will say that's a selfish thing. I believe it's a selfless thing. Because in order for me to reach out to more people every single day, I need to be happy and I need to be positive. You see, love starts from self-love. You can't help others if you don't help yourself first. So that was a whole learning curve in itself. But I believe like till today, like some people will say, this is bad in my life, that's bad in my life. I'll say, okay. I say, cool.
And yeah.
And then if you ask for help, okay, I'll answer your question. I give my opinion, my advice. If you take it, great. If you don't take it, it's okay. But I'm not affected by it, because I know why I'm here now. And I will just witness and experience and observe, be the observer through this lifetime, and I'll enjoy as much as I can in this physical reality during this time, and I'll contribute as much as I can during this time. because we're here for such a limited amount of time. So I see like that. That's human enlightenment. Because once a person gets to complete detachment from human emotions, they're not affected by anything, then it's transcendence. It's time to transcend. You're not attached. So you're not fearful of death. It just doesn't matter anymore.
That's very interesting, but part of me feels like I wouldn't want to get to that level where I lose human emotions, because I think human emotions are very important because they help you to be.
That's fine.
That side, right? Like you need to know sadness to be able to recognize sadness in another. You need to be happy to be able to show happiness to another.
This is my point, though.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, you're just flipping back your last conversation with
me. You see, this is what I mean.
Yeah.
You're telling me that I understand you.
Yeah,
I feel you. I understand you. I get you. And you're making a really valid point. Everybody who is at your part of the journey totally resonates with you. And I get that. It's not false. You're not wrong. And I'm not right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's fine.
I feel like you can get out of any situation with those answers. Your partner must be like, no, listen, I need to have an argument now. This is not going to work this way. You can't just accept everything.
You see, life is extremely, extremely easy when acceptance is with everything. I'll give you an example. Yeah. Around 4 years ago now. 5 years ago. I don't know if it's the same with you, but when lockdown happened, it blurred out the 2-3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's 2 years ago.
I don't know what day it is even now. Yeah.
So like 5 years ago, somebody broke into my house and they stole around 6 or 7 of my Swiss watches. I think it was about, I can't remember now, about 100 to 200K of watches basically. So imagine I just finished the event in London. I go home, I'm with my mum in the car, and then we drive home and then arrive at my door and I see this cute hole in my door. So my mum's already screaming at that point, right? And panicking. And I said, there's a door. There's a hole in my door. And mum says, you've got to call the police. What's happening? I said, Mum, let's just see what's happened first, you know? Someone's broken, she said. I said, that's fine, but you panicking isn't going to fix the door. It's already
like, look at this beautiful new window we have now that we didn't have before.
Let's see what happened, I said. So I open the door, I walk in, everything's intact. Imagine, I'm just like, wow, everything's intact. And I walk into one of the back rooms, and then I see my beautiful cabinet. The door is open and it's empty. I'm like, oh.
They knew what they were looking for.
Yeah. And then Mum says, they stole it all, whatever. I called the police and everything like that. I said, Mum, actually, it doesn't matter. I said, let's just get the door fixed. And what do you mean it doesn't matter? They know where you live. They came to steal you, whatever, all the rest. I said, Mum, it's fine. I said, breathe. It's fine. How I look at the situation is, it's not worth my 30 minutes, 5 minutes a day. It's not worth that stress. It's not worth that discomfort. It's not worth that. And people say, you're stupid. Of course you call the police. You try to get it back, you know. What a way, you know, people stole you. Everything happens for a reason. It happens, it happens. The person who would do something like break into somebody's house to go and steal something, obviously they're in dire need and they're stuck somewhere. They need it. Maybe it's my problem. I see life as a reflection of something. It's something.
Yeah.
And when I sit down, I don't say, why do things happen to me? I say, what did I do? And the first thing that came to mind around just a few years ago, I made a video to trend on YouTube. It was called something like Yogi with Lamborghini buys 50K watch. I can't remember what it was.
You're like, there you go. There's the start of the karma.
The universe is humbling you. It's like, why are you doing that? Why did you do that? Who comes in, what burglar comes in just for your watch? Obviously it was somebody who was following and they know exactly where it is. Who does that? It's your problem. I said, okay, I've learned. I said, thank you. Because you know what? Everything that people are, all the mental health issues and everything that people struggle with, they forget one thing. Doesn't matter. I get people who message me, Master, my boyfriend is wanting to break up with me. I feel suicidal. I'm like, dude, like, look at your hands one moment. Move it and know that your fingers are moving. Do you know you're alive? Do you know there's people in the world right now dying right now in this very moment? Starving, dying, seeing their people being killed. And you have life, breath. You have technology to be able to message me on YouTube and say you don't understand, it's so bad. No, you're alive. And I feel that's enough to be celebrating for. Life is just, everything is peaceful. And so on one level of consciousness, it's true. You need to be able to see that, to be able to see that. That's true. But there is no craving to see that anymore. And I don't need to see that. And it doesn't matter what happens, this or that. Everything is peaceful and blissful. Almost like you're smoking weed nonstop. Just everything is blissful. It doesn't matter. It's okay. And life is so easy when it's that way. And what I've realized through this time and through all the practices and things like that is you become a magnet. Everything just comes to you effortlessly because you're not attached to any outcome. You're not trying to do anything. Things just come your way.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I totally resonate with that way of thinking as well, because I mean, I'm the same on many levels when it comes to that stuff. Like, for example, if I lost my Rolex, it just happens. I'm not attached to these things emotionally. And the whole life thing, I had a conversation today with someone. They were like, you're 40 years old. Yesterday, you did an hour and a half of training in the gym. Then you did an hour and a half of jiu-jitsu. And then you went and played padball for 2.5, 3 hours after that. They were like, how do you still have energy? And how are you still doing this? Why are you not tired? And I'm like, because I'm lucky. Like, because I know that one day my legs are not going to take this anymore. That other people wish they could do this and have the energy to do that. Like, I'm grateful and I'm aware of the fact that, you know, I have a friend who literally has one leg and she's in the gym and she's training and she has her false leg on and that stuff. And I'm just like, do you not realize that the way you think makes all the difference to all these little things? Like, you're worrying about things and you're not realizing like the magnificence of just the human body itself. Like, internally, like if you took your veins out, they would go around the world 8 times the distance. Like, everything is so perfect. If I put my hand like this now, my finger is blurred, but you're focused. If I look at my finger, you're blurred, but my finger is perfectly focused. Do you understand how incredible that is and how fun that is, and how to be able to understand that and just be like, wow. Like, every day is just like, wow. And some people, they're just so busy with all these external things that I'm like, do you ever have the time to stop and think about that? People think I'm crazy. So I have twins and I take them to school and I learned a lot from them. They're only 4 years old, but they taught me patience and all the usual things. But they taught me about the little things that I forgot, like smelling flowers. So there's these people that are rushing in to get to school and there's me and my twins smelling every flower on the way to their classroom, bending over and smelling the flowers. And I can see the other parents going, what are you doing? And in my mind, I'm thinking, such a beautiful flower. Like, when was the last time you stopped and really smelled a flower? And by the way, this purple one smells different. It's amazing. Come and smell the yellow one. That's a whole nother smell than the other two. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like people just are not like remembering these things, you know?
They're too stuck in material world and problems. Most people, they're problem focused.
And it's hard as well. Like, I put a status up the other day about being financially rich out through my purpose. So I'm an idiot. I'm a clown. All day, non-stop, I'm making jokes. During the gym, I'm making jokes. Everyone I see, I'm just trying to cheer them up and make jokes. I might not be having the best day, but the second I walk out the house, it's like I have this weird mask that I put on that, oh, by the way, you're going to work now. You're going to see other human beings and you need to somehow uplift them, because if that half an hour they're with you, they forgot about that they didn't pay their phone bill or they have this to do or whatever, then you kind of did something that was, you know, I didn't charge for it. I'm not doing it. Like the intention is the way forward, right? So my friends always saying to me, why are you always joking and stuff? And I was like, well, what if I wasn't joking and making jokes for the last 20 minutes? We'd all be sitting here moaning about something else, you know, and I'm happy to take that on, and it becomes just a natural thing. So I just naturally am a clown now because I've been doing it so long that that's just who I am.
But that's beautiful, because your focus is also on other people, and unconsciously that is shifting your vibration. Yeah, you get, like, it's the same thing what we do when we're doing events. I always say to our community, I say, look, I host classes every single day, Zoom calls, hundreds, thousands of people every single day. I need to create all these videos every single day. You guys have an excuse to sometimes say, I feel down today. But I'm like, I feel, and they say, Master, you ready to record? Guys. And people will say, well, then you're living in a fake world, or then it's not real. No, because if you put yourself that way, you become that way. And when you become that way, you attract that way. And what I've realized is, for the past, I mean, I still think quite new to the influencer scene, but as a speaker, I've been 11 years. And I think since being a speaker, the more I put myself out there for other people, the more unconsciously things have just been attracting my way, opportunities and everything, you know? And it's effortless.
It's amazing, honestly. Like what you do and the intention behind it, I really appreciate. Because again, we were having a conversation with my friend the other day. People want to come together. They want to unite. For example, you see those free hugs videos that people put out. They work because people want to feel somebody's touch who has no judgment. And the whole point of the free hugs, I don't know you, I'm a stranger. There's nothing attached to this. We're not talking after it. I'm not trying to get your number. I'm not, just come get a hug and leave kind of thing. When you're in a situation, I've been in situations where, I mean, I have a lot of friends that are fighters and stuff. And back in the day, I had a lot of friends that used to, you know, drink and go out, and I don't drink. I've like never been an alcohol person. And I remember, like, you know, that rumbling before a fight, and I'd have to go and kind of back them up, but I'd go and put my hand out. Never once in my life have I put my hand out to a stranger. Have they gone? Their initial instinct is to go, do you know what I mean?
Connection.
To just, like, they get confused. It stops for a minute, the circuit breaks, and then they realize after, they're like, oh no, I was about to fight you for a second ago. Do you know what I mean? So I think people need to just realize that we're all so different, but at the same time, exactly the same. We all want the same core things in life, right?
Yeah.
So I think
everyone just wants love. They're craving love. Yeah.
It's so strange. And it's the same thing with something I want to talk to you about is the best way to model as a parent for children, because I don't think people understand how important those first 4 years are. I mean, we have a saying, an Arab saying is, give me the boy for the first 4 years and I'll give you the man. I'll give you back the man on the 5th year. I don't think people realize the shouting and the hitting and all that stuff, like how detrimental that is to the growth of that child. From your perspective, how important is that?
It's everything. Yeah, because from a psychological standpoint, because children are in theta brainwave from 0 to 7, so how they receive things is very deep, and it sticks with them. That's why if you learn from scratch how to play a piano against a kid right now, they'll kick your butt. You know, you've got no chance. They'll learn so fast because they absorb everything like a sponge. And I think that, you know, inclusive of my personal upbringing, seeing, let's say, for example, for let's say 10 years of my life, I was a very angry person, very impatient person. That was my dad. You know, for my first 10 years of doing business, I made a lot of money, but I could never keep money. Like, even if I closed $1 million deals, I would still be left with trying to break even, and it wouldn't make sense to me until I remember that it was a 5-year-old birthday party where I asked mum, I say, where's dad? And she said, he's working. I said, but it's my birthday. She said, yeah, but he's making money. What does a kid know? All a kid knows is dad chose money over me. Yeah. And then we end up self-sabotaging. And so it doesn't matter if it's relationship problems we have these days or money problems we have these days. It's all from upbringing. It's all from conditioning. And so it's very important how we are, not just what we teach the kid, but how we are as a role model for kids. Yeah.
I find that very important what you said, because my wife mentioned this to me. I had a very unhealthy relationship with money because we were very wealthy when I was born, multi-millionaires. My father passed away when I was 3 years old. He had a heart attack. And the cause of that was that he was a gambler and this kind of stuff and stocks and shares and lost everything and couldn't take it, basically. His body didn't react well to it. So psychologically, I was associating having a lot of money with losing my father. So I would always kind of self-sabotage when it came to, there was something there that I didn't know what it was. But then, like you said, once I made the connection, that was, that's because of that. I chose not to have a healthy relationship with money because I thought it brings death or bad times or bad relationships kind of thing. So that's very interesting.
And most of it's unconscious. Yeah. That's the problem. So they have to do some subconscious rewiring to be able to fix that. There's a lot of people who do that with manifestation and things like that on our topic of law of attraction. They do all the affirmations and then they come back to the channel sometimes and they're like, Master, I did your 21-day wealth affirmation and money didn't come to me. I say, yeah, but this is a affirmation will kind of layer. It's kind of like trying to grow new grass on top of the weeds that are there. You just layering it on top, the weeds will still come through because you're unconsciously probably acting a different way. And I know this from a lot of the students is because I know in the morning they're like, I am wealthy, I am rich, I am a millionaire. Then what happens is they go to the supermarket and they say, oh, that one's cheaper. No, that one's really expensive. Let's go for the cheapest one. Hey, in the morning you were shouting, I am rich, I am wealthy. You know what just happened there? That's unconscious behavior. So that's where people don't identify it.
Yeah, I think it's really important as well what you said about the 7 years of the child thing, because I think a lot of people don't realize that the number 7 and the 7 years is huge, because in 7 years, every single cell you have in your body will be gone.
That's right.
And a new set will regenerate. So every 7 years in your life is an opportunity to kind of be like, oh, it's coming. That special new year is coming. Right. And I feel like there's a lot of that information that people don't realize. And to get onto the manifestation, I've manifested certain things before, and not money or anything like that, but scarily, like to the point that I was like it happened so quickly because the intention was so pure and the initial reason was so genuine, and I literally didn't let anything else come to it, that I was like, oh, this is a bit scary. And then you're like, $1 million? Like, but you know, but some things, like, I remember sometimes I've said to my wife, by this day we're gonna have this, or we're gonna go there, or we're gonna see this, or you're gonna meet that, and then it's happened like to the day, and then I'm like, I'm Thanos, like my power. But it's crazy. I don't think people realize how much the universe wants to work for you. And you say that to some people, and they're like, "Mate, what are you talking about? Universe and blah blah blah." It's like, why do you feel like some people limit their understanding or belief to that they don't want to see that?
It's closed mind. It's level of consciousness. So this is what I was saying before. That's not, the mass is not so conscious. Just to believe in that you as an individual are in charge of everything in your life and only you is already some ignorance there, because what about the date you arrived in this world? Did you mapped it out? What about the date and time you're going to go? You mapped it out. You know, you think that you can just make a decision and just you alone does the work.
We can't even control the weather.
Yeah, the weather, especially in UK,
exactly, right? Yeah.
So, but you can't. You can even say, okay, even if you say, okay, I'm going to manifest having breakfast in 10 minutes time. I know what I need to do. I go to the kitchen, I get the cereal, I pour it in a bowl, I eat it. You can't guarantee that.
It might be a water leak in the bathroom.
It could
that
be
you
anything.
have to stop and go back and do it.
Anything can happen. So what determines all the other factors? And how can you say that's got nothing to do with you? Because in every moment, the other factors are playing, you know. And when we understand it then on an energetic level, then it's all science. Because everything is energy, and energy is everything, and energy is one, and everything is interconnected, and there's attraction and repelling happens with vibrational frequencies and
7.36 hertz, and people.
It's science.
Yeah.
So I think the reason why most people try to deny it is because they don't understand it yet, and what people don't understand, they deny, right? And aside from that as well, I think the word spirituality gets people all going towards whatever, this God, that God, this spirit, this, you know.
Yeah.
Then they can't wrap their head around it, you know. And I feel then that's where their block comes in.
And also there's these days you have like anyone who wears a pair of Lululemon leggings is spiritual, and it's like, that's not what spirituality is like. Do you know what I mean? Like what you were saying, one of my favorite sayings is men plan and God laughs. I love that because it's like so true, you know. But
and man makes his plan and God has his plan for
exactly.
you. Yeah.
But people just need to understand, break things down. Okay, you don't believe in God and religion and spirituality and all that stuff. Okay, let's go science.
Yeah.
Do you understand the specificity and the maths? I mean, you only have to look at the Fibonacci sequence and the vibrations of the newborn baby's cry under a microscope will vibrate at exactly the same, you know, frequency as a flower growing, as, you know, rain hitting the floor, as the cells in your body. Like everything's been, whether it's a creator or whether it's by accident, everything is very specifically right. Your rib cage, if it was 1 inch down, anyone that elbowed you in the side, that's it. They're getting straight to you. You know, everything is like that. You have to see the beauty in that. That this is, you know.
Look, a show like this. If you were to ask somebody, say, how did you manifest your way to that show? Oh, AJ just reached out to me and just, you know, I just said yes and I just arrived. But the chances of that is still not easy. I mean, what are the chances? What is the chance every day I get how many thousands of messages? What's the chances of whoever from my team clicking on whatever message? What are the chances that the time fits in my schedule, your schedule? There's everything needs to happen. And the manifestation doesn't start from your message. It doesn't start from there. That's not where you manifested me or I manifested you. It doesn't start from our response. That's not when it started. It started way before that, because the next question is, if you never started the podcast show, then also I will not be here. So who got that to happen? Then you say, oh yeah, a friend spoke to me about, okay, that friend spoke to you. Wow, where did you meet that friend? Oh, that was through my whoever. Yeah. And then you keep going back. You realize that, wait there a second, this moment now, the manifestation started when we were born or even before we were born. And you're like, what?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because if you connect, like what Steve Jobs says, you cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. But if you really try to connect it, then you realize how powerful
everything is. And that's why most successful people, whether it be financial or spiritual or people that have overcome adversities, you say to them, would you, if I could remove them all, everything you went through from your life, all the bad times, would you rather just go straight thing? And they all say no.
Be there.
Yeah, they all say
you cannot be where you are at.
They say no, because that's what led to that. What's led to that. And a funny example is breaking up with a girlfriend when you're 17. Oh, I loved her and she was the one. But then when you're 25, you're married with 2 beautiful children, and you're like, if I didn't say that stupid thing at that point, or if she didn't do that red flag and I thought, nah, you're not the one for me, then your children, these things that I mean, when you have children, that's it.
Would not be
like
alive
that's
right now.
After children is when you go, oh yeah, I would actually kill someone. Like if they did something to my children, I didn't think I would before, but now I would. Very easily, I'll take a life. It's fine.
No longer a handshake.
I mean? Yeah, exactly. No longer. Now it's a handshake with an elbow. No, but you know what I mean? So it's like these things, everything is just spanning from so many, like, it's crazy. It's just insane. I really want to know where it all came from.
But this is the thing, that understanding this part, and I'm sure a lot of listeners now will be like, yeah, I agree, that makes sense. But I think the real question is, so you said it makes sense, but now how are you going to adapt it in your everyday living? Listening to a podcast show, that's great. Agreeing, that's fine. But what are you going to do with this information? If you know that everything has connected so far for a reason, and it's way beyond just your physical, what you think, there's also the superconscious, there's something else going on, then wouldn't your question be, can I work with that superconscious? Like, can I have you on my side? Instead of like always fighting you, which most people do. And I feel that's what my master always says, with questions comes answers. When we start asking those more intuitive questions, then answers will start to come and say, well, if we see how the universe has been doing things without me doing it, and then I start questioning, so if I know that whenever you do something, it's not by accident, and I observe it as a sign, what's the sign for me? So let's say a challenge appears, and instead of saying, why is this happening to me? I say, why is this happening for me? So universe, you don't want me to be with this person. Interesting. So you have something else. Okay, well, I'll move with you then. And that's why I feel if you learn how to dance with the universe, it will open up so many doors, and you just become the witnesser. And you're like, whoa, I'm here now. Wow, I'm doing this now. How did this happen? Yeah. Just by saying yes to all the doors that are opening up, instead of trying to fight and be so stubborn and attached to the thing that I thought I wanted, which most people, they don't know what they want, because what you think you want, you got programmed to want that thing. So instead, if you can surrender that and say, actually, I'm open, and I'm just going to observe. What have you got for me today? Oh, you want to close that door? Okay. Which door are you going to open up then? Let's just wait and see. And whatever door, although it doesn't make any sense to me to walk through that door, but I also remember that nothing happens by accident. So you've opened that door in front of me again for some reason. Do I have the faith and the trust in saying, I'm going to take that leap of faith and I'm going to take that step forward? Because the people who do, then miracles will start to show in their life. And the door,
it's funny because the universe will open the same door for you again. The exact same one, and it'll go, listen, mate,
test.
Last time you didn't. How about this time? Just try it and see what happens. I mean, like, again, one of those, my favorite quotes, one of Bruce Lee quotes, to be like water. Very smart. Water can flow, water can crash. You put water inside the pot, it will become the teapot. It's crazy. Treat your life, like you're on a surfboard, mate. Wherever the wave takes you, get ready to ride. Watch out for the sharks from the left and right. But it's so important.
But life is so much easier that way.
Yeah.
Why? Because, well, we need to just question one thing. If we know that, like, let's say just trees, that's divine. Like you said, flowers, it's divine. Who made it up so that we thought our breathing apparatus was here, but it's actually hanging outside?
Yeah.
And we think we can live by ourselves, but actually without them, we're not alive. So they are part of me, and we're life together. But who designed nature and everything around us? I don't think we need to keep questioning which God, this God, that God, this belief, that religion. All we need to come to acceptance that whatever or whoever it is must be kind of smart. Then you need to question one thing. Do you think they are smarter or you? Do you think they're more intelligent or you? Do you think they can foresee more and plan more or you? And I'm sure everyone will agree that they plan pretty much everything. So the vastness is crazy. So when that happens, then when things come to you, opportunities, challenges, whatever, then you need to question. When you use your human mind, your limited human mind, to understand something of the infinite collective intelligence, whenever we have the saying, I don't know why I want to do it, but I just feel like doing it. Where is that coming from? Because by you saying the words, I don't know why I want to do it, is already telling your non-logical logical mind, limited logical mind, I don't get it. And the thing is, most people, they'll shy away from it because they don't get it. It doesn't make sense to them. But when I see it, I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
This thing must be way beyond me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so important to ask questions and answers. I had a Wing Chun teacher. I studied Wing Chun for a while. And it was the same thing with the questions and answers. He was like, this question and answer thing goes all throughout life. He said, even in Wing Chun, when I come at you with a movement, I'm asking you a question. Now, if you do a paksao and give me the right answer, then I can ask you another question. If you give me the wrong answer, you're getting slapped in the face.
Yeah, how are you going to respond?
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it boils down to every little thing that you could just use that for. And it's just amazing. I just love I think the important thing is people need to be more happy to be alive. I think that people don't, because it happens, right? They expect to be alive. It's my right to wake up in the morning every day. It's normal. It happens anyway. Do you know what I mean? They lose that. They don't treasure because they're
auto. Used to it.
Yeah, it's auto. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. I'm going to go sleep.
It's just like relationship with the wife. It's the same thing.
It's the same. You know, you lose that kind of thing. So again, with my children, that's why I appreciate them so much, because they let me see these. They remind me of the things that I forget. Do you know what I mean? Like they could do something that you would think is so boring for hours and have so much fun. Yeah. Because a car doesn't have to roll on the floor. Yeah. You wait. I'm going to show you how it drives up walls and then jumps and then hits off the couch. Do you know what I mean? So
but the interesting thing is observing children growing up and losing it.
Yeah, and then we start turning to adults.
And it's bit by bit. You start seeing the way it changes from a newborn baby would, for no reason, you could be even holding a frown. Yeah. They will just look up and smile.
Yeah.
No reason they can laugh and they can smile. They can be in positivity. Yeah. To suddenly even becoming a toddler, suddenly that part is already lost. Right? That part is already lost. Yes, they have fascination for new things and they still wonder, having a wonderful time, wondering mind. But the element is already lost. Then slowly through time, then they learn human emotions and attachment and disappointment and all the rest of it. And it just slowly gets lost, huh?
And then we become adults, right? And then nobody likes anybody after that.
But this is the funny journey of life. We come in here so conscious beings, so much love and positivity. You get conditioned, and then all the fear and all the media and everything, news, you know? And then we get all the fear. And then hopefully one day we get to watch some empowering video on YouTube by accident. Because we just had heartbreak. Because we just had heartbreak, right? Because your ex just left you, right? That's the biggest question I get, by the way. How to manifest your ex back, you know? And
you don't want them back. That's the thing.
So they say, how to manifest your ex back. And they go through that. And because their ex left them, guess what? They accidentally embark on the journey of personal development. And they're like, oh my God, this is so cool. I can't believe it. I never knew this before. But you did. And then what personal development is then is unlearning all the things that you learn and then trying to relearn everything that you knew before you even entered, you know? So it's interesting, the cycles.
Yeah, it is. And what you said about the world as well, I saw a really cool reel the other day, and you know, the reels with the voiceovers, and it was just a guy going, hey, sorry, Mom, I just want you to know that, you know, you did a great job. You raised a great son. It was the world that messed me up. Do you know what I mean? So that kind of juxtaposition between the two, that not all people, you know, that end up doing crazy stuff or not being the best parts of themselves is because of the way they were raised. Sometimes these outside, you know, factors that come in, you can do your best, but you just never know. You know, everyone's on their own journey and stuff, which is crazy. Let's talk about death, because I want to lighten the mood. When did you first become aware of your mortality?
About?
Of your own mortality.
There's levels to the game.
Yeah, I know.
Understanding and aware of mortality, there's levels. There's one, you say, I'm aware, I know it now. Then it's, I know it now. Then it's, I really know it now. So there's levels to this. I think that
let me change the question first. Fear of death. When was that the thing for you? Because there's knowing, we all, you know, my kids say now, oh, he's going to die, or the cat's going to die, or whatever. But they don't say it with a way that really is like paralyzing. Because I think everybody goes through that when they hit that real realization, and they get kind of paralyzed because, oh, I can't stop this.
When did the fear kick in?
Yeah.
I remember back then I was still in Liverpool, so I must have been below 5 years old. Yeah. I used to, I don't know what I probably watched on TV where somebody died. And then I asked, what does that die mean? And they told me they never come back. And I remember every night after watching that thing on TV, I used to cry to Mum saying, Mum, I don't want to die. And every single day I wake up, all I can think is, I'm going to die. And Mum, I don't want to die. Mum, I don't want to leave you. And I think that was what happened.
And when did you start to shift your views on that?
I think through majority of life, you kind of just become too busy with everything else. So you kind of don't really think about it anymore. When I was 24, 25, I was making very good money and I fell into depression. Dad told me, make money and you'll be successful. I was like, yeah, I've done it now. That's it. I went into a part where at the time I was driving an Aston Martin, and I used to get into the Aston Martin every morning, and I used to say to whoever it was up there, could you please just take me away? And it was so weird because I used to actually visualize that something would take me away. That's where I was at that point. And I think that was an interesting perspective of death because I was fearful of taking the action. That's why I wanted somebody else to do the job for me. But I felt too depressed because I didn't understand why we're here and there was no point in life anymore. That's what I thought. And so I also felt ready to go at the same time. It was a very interesting thing, you know, but I was fearful of taking the action. But then moving forward from there, then it will come to the next realization, which then was through my speaking journey, the past 11 years. We'll say start from 11 years ago. While I was teaching people business, because I started off as a business coach, teaching entrepreneurship. And I would have sometimes some spiritual people come up to me, and I would think that's just speaking a bit of nonsense, you know, but yeah, it kind of makes sense, but kind of doesn't. They say energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It can only be transferred. Your energy, meaning you'll never die. We never die. Yeah, okay, but you know, we still kind of leave everything that's here and we kind of lose everything, you know, so still kind of get it a little bit more. So you come to a little bit more acceptance that it's going to happen sometime, but you never think it's tomorrow, you know, you always think you've got plenty of years, you know, left. So you don't really think about it that much. So that continued and you kind of be okay with it. Then the next point was 2019. No, it wasn't. It was May 2019. I was on a flight out to Taiwan to teach, speak at a big event. One of my team members called Harriet, she sat next to me and she asked me a question. She said, do you know, you always tell people that they need to have a goal. You've never really said what your goal is. I looked at her, I said, Harriet, actually, to be honest with you, I don't have a goal. But you always tell people you need to have goals in life. I said, yeah, I think people do. But let me be honest with you. I don't know what it is. In the recent 1-2 years, I feel like I'm not going to be here much longer. And then she said to me, what are you talking about? I said, like, I feel that, I don't know what it is. I feel like something's going to take me away, whether they call it transcendence or samadhi or whatever they call it. Something's going to happen. And then you met Kaina. Mm-hmm. Kaina was sat there and she started crying. And I looked at them, and that got me worried, because I was like, look, I'm not wanting to suicide. I'm blissful. I'm so happy. I'm so peaceful. But I feel like everything that I've ever wanted in life, I have. There is nothing more that I want these days, to a point where 5 years ago, I embark on this spiritual journey and I say, okay, I need to serve more people, help more people, and go into this whole guru stage. Today, quite frankly, I don't really need to help anybody. I've done my part. If I help another person, great. If I don't, that's okay too. I think I'm done. But I'm not depressed. I'm peaceful and blissful. I felt it's very strange, because I felt so like I was at the highest point of enlightenment. I felt like that at that point. Like I was ready. I was ready to go. And 2 months, no, it wasn't 2 months. It was that trip. Straight after the event, maybe a week later, I received a text message. And this was from a disciple of a Himalayan yogi called Grandmaster Aksha. And that message read something like, Grandmaster Aksha would like to invite you to the Himalayas. My human mind would say, they have a retreat and they want me to pay for the retreat or something. What's this? Yoga retreat? That's my thought first. So I messaged back and I said, what's go to Himalayas? Why? Grandmaster Aksha wants you to be his first disciple to get the blessing of spiritual master. I read it and I was like, I don't get it. And let me tell you why I don't get it. Because the backstory is, I only met Grandmaster Aksha like 3 times before that. I trained with him a few times. I went for a few yoga lessons. Not big deal. Maximum 20 lessons in total. And I was really bad at yoga. I was not flexible or anything. So I was like, why me? So the skeptical mind started playing up. Maybe they wanted me to pay for a retreat or something. What is the thing? What's this private training thing? What's going to the mountains? What's the thing? So human mind would play up. And then when I looked at the words, I thought, spiritual master. I said, that's quite funny. If anybody had seen my social media before that, I always used to put spiritual gangster. Because I always looked at all these spiritual people dressed in robes and these things, and I was like, why? Like, come on, we're in the physical world. You can still be, wear fashionable stuff.
You're like, I got one Swiss watch left. I'm going to wear it.
Yeah. So it's like, why do you need to dress that way? And spiritual master is so boring and it's so outdated. And I always class myself as a more fashionable type of person. I also launched a fashion brand before, so I always class myself like that. So I was like, spiritual master. I said, I don't get it. Like spiritual gangster, maybe, but that I don't get. But then the most interesting thing was the conversation on the plane came back to me in that moment. It's like, this is so strange. I said, I've got nothing to lose. Like, I'm ready to go.
And
so
the timing as well.
Let's see what it's about. So I said, yes, okay. And she said, okay, so you're going to go out in August 2019. Here's me. Yes, I'm surrendered and, whatever goes, let's just flow with it. But at the same time, I'm telling Kaina every day, I said, I'm not really looking forward to the yoga. Because I practiced yoga with Grandmaster Aksha before and it's
not fun.
But this leg over this and the whole body shaking and hold there for 2 minutes is like, no, you really can't, So I'm like, and then when I got to the details, I knew that was just one-on-one. It's just going to be me and him. There's no hiding. It's not in a class. So I'm like, oh man, 30 days of this, what's going to happen? So we arrive first in Bangalore and then we do for the first 3 days of training. it was exactly what I thought. Every day I had a few team members with me and a videographer at the time who was documenting the journey for me. I said to my videographer, I said to Dan, I said, bro, I want to go home. I said, this is 3 days. Yeah. We've got 10 times this amount. I said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. It's hot. I said, I'm tired. I said, we're doing like 6 to 8 hour sessions a day and then sitting in this meditation where, be honest with you, a lot of the meditations were so long, I ended up falling asleep in a lot of them. So I was like, I don't get it because I'm falling asleep and I'm trying I would like to act all enlightened and stuff, but reality is I know the truth. I'm falling asleep. So I said, I don't know what this is for, and I don't know how am I going to become a spiritual master at this level. Yeah.
I'm going to teach them when I'm sleeping during the sessions.
And if I fall asleep.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
So the third day happened. And during the third day, it came to the evening time. And we sat down and he lit these candles and things like that. And he was doing the whole, a bit ceremony type of thing. And I was kind of like, I don't know what, but I said, I'm open to this. So let's just see what happens. So he sits me down and he said, the thing that I've been telling you to practice in the meditation the last few days, and in my mind is like, I'm going to fall asleep again, right? So I'm just like, okay, I get it, right? Just pretend I got it.
Like
right?
matchsticks.
Yeah. So I'm just like, okay. And then he says, yeah, so today we're going to open next level. So I said, okay, it'd probably be the same, but So I sit there and then I hear his voice while he's guiding me through this meditation. And then I remember his words were, do you see the light? And I said, no. He said, what about now? And then it was really weird. Just bright light all around. Then suddenly I'm going like 1,000,000 miles per hour going through this light tunnel, really, really fast and really scary, really, really fast. And I opened my eyes straight away. And I said, I seen it. And imagine he sat quite a distance from me over there. I said, I seen it. And then he's got his eyes closed in meditation on that side. He said, this time I had to open it for you. Next time you need to open it yourself. My mind's going wild at this point because I'm looking at him. And I'll be honest again. I thought, and this was the things crossing my mind. He's got a torch behind him.
There's two guys with the candles just in front of your eyes. Yeah.
Sun, and I was like, no, sun direction's not there. Window's not there. I'm just like, no, come on. The mind was going wild. And I said, it can't be, it was real. No, it can't be real. No, that was a whole experience. No, you're just making up. No. Did you visualize that? Did you make it up? And the whole thing went crazy that day. And I remember journaling because he said, journal everything. So I journaled all my thoughts and feelings. And then came the next day and it opened up brighter and it opened up brighter. Then the next day, we did something which was sleep meditation.
You were like, I'm ready for this one. This one I got locked, mate. Don't worry, I'm ready.
I'm like, I heard the word sleep meditation. I said, I've been doing that every day.
Isn't that what we're doing here? Yeah.
So what happened is on day 3, he did the whole thing again, lit the candles and everything. And it was really interesting because I've heard people talk about things like this, but more referred to whether it's taking some drugs and trip or ayahuasca and things like that, right? But not with not taking anything, So he just lights some candles and I just finished some yoga practice. And what happens is he says, okay, lie down here. And then he's talking me through it, through third eye, out here, walk down the steps and into this thing. And do you see me there? I said, yes. Bam. In one scene, next scene, wake up, next scene, wake up, next scene, somewhere else. I'm someone else, experiencing something else, coming back, experiencing something else. And then all of that and whole experience, all emotions and everything. And then suddenly I hear the sounds, just take an inhale and slowly come back and open your eyes. Then I opened my eyes and he's just there. And I said, that was crazy. I said, I just seen everything. And he said, yeah. He said, the energies took you. And at that point, I was like, so much abstract words. I'm like, what energies? Who took me? I'm just like, did I fall asleep? Did I dream? And then I said, was that a dream? He said, that was moving in dimensions. And I said, but how do I know it wasn't a dream? The so skeptical mind was all the way through it, you know?
Astral projecting, yeah.
Yeah. And then he said to me, he said, tell me what happened. And I told him everything that happened in every single scene. And then he asked me a question. You usually remember a dream like that?
Yeah.
I say, no. He said, dream, usually you wake up in the morning. Whoa, that was a really, you turn to your partner.
You tend to tell someone and it's
you
like,
say, hey,
it's gone. Yeah. Yeah.
He said, dream is controlled by energy, superconscious. If you are not, you don't have permission to see it. You will not see yourself in different dimension. You will not see it. So you will go there. You will come back. The average person wake up in the morning and the delete button, erase button needs to happen so that you don't go crazy. But now you're bringing that level of outer dimension, multidimensional beings into this physical reality, and you're understanding who you are in different dimensions. And he said, but this is only the beginning. Day 5, day 7, all the way through. Every day we would, and this, the interesting thing was that session we had, when I looked at the time, it was about 10 minutes. When I was in there, it felt like 2 weeks because I went to so many different places. And I realized this concept, and not just concept, this reality, that time in dimensions is completely different. And it's not far-fetched. No, why? We learn it at school. If you travel to space, you age differently. Yeah. So why do we think it's far-fetched? It makes sense. If you go into a different space and time works differently. You age differently. And the most fascinating part, to bring some sanity into all this craziness in the first few days. Imagine day 1, he'll be like, okay, put the right leg on the right shoulder. And I'll be like, all shaking and struggling. And he'll be like, okay, clamp the 2 arms on the 2 shoulders. I don't know what are you talking about? How do you do that, right? And I'm shaking. And then what would happen is we will go into meditation in different dimension. And most of the training from the whole 30 days was done in meditation. And so most of the time, we filmed the whole documentary. And if I watch the whole documentary back, you don't get much from it. My eyes were closed for the majority of the documentary. You guys see some
documentary of him sleeping.
But what I realized, the thing that brought it into reality and justified for my human brain was when I would do some practice, then we'll do the meditation. Then after practice, he'll say, do this asana. And then I bring 2 legs over my 2 shoulders. And I'll be like,
yeah, I was training inside.
This is really crazy. Again, not far-fetched. They've done so many tests on basketball players visualizing and all this type of stuff before. So what is visual or what is metaphysical can be transcended in physical. So it was
when
strange.
You fall asleep and you have, for example, Japanese playing in the background. If you want to learn, just keep playing it every night in your sleep. And then you'll eventually pick up the language without even a lesson during the day.
That's right. So that was the 30 days. So I come back and then 30 days. And then people are like, 30 days and then you become a spiritual master? You don't get it, mate.
It's been 4 years, mate.
you really don't get it.
30 days to you.
And I'll say, I'll just show you a few things, right? Because obviously I'm like, I was trying to, when I first came back, it was very tough communicating with people. But the only thing I could show was, look at this. Bam, this leg comes here, bam, watch this. And then bam, upside down, watch this. People are, wow, you've advanced a lot in yoga. I'm like, oh my God. I don't know how to explain this to you, because all you see is I trained really hard in yoga, you know? Yeah. The biggest thing though was not about that, was about accessing future dimension and past dimension. I did not know why I was selected for that journey until right at the end. 3 days before the end, through the meditation, we went deep into some other type of meditation and some other modalities and formats and ceremonies. And I seen the future. And what I seen, and Grandmaster had explained this, he said, now is coming is all dark age. And he said, so see what is happening and you will know what you need to do. So in meditation, I was always witnessing from that moment. And I never fell asleep again. Never. It doesn't happen now. So I went into meditation, and then on that third to last day, I seen the virus. I seen the war. I seen the main things. These are main things I'm mentioning. And I seen the economic crisis that has not happened yet, even till the state of the podcast. It's coming very soon. So I seen all of that, and then that all finished, and then I seen myself doing what I was doing through all of that, and the outcome of everything. And that was a bit trippy, you know. And then when I was out of meditation and it came to the last day, we did the final initiation, and I'm invited to Grandmaster's house for a dinner at his house, the last day before I need to go back to UK. And after dinner, he asked me, he said, let's go for a walk. So we went for a walk out in the garden, and we were just pacing around. And he said to me, he said, now is coming is dark age. He said, universe will be consumed by dark energies. So I said, I know. Then he smiles at me and he says, I know. Meaning I know you know.
Yeah.
Then I was like, this is so weird. I don't know this conversation. And then what happened was he said, work on building community. Very important right now. I said, yeah, I know. And he just smiled again, and I thought, okay, stop saying I know. It sound a bit silly now. So I said,
that part of your journal was just 3 pages of I know, I know.
I'm like, okay, he knows everything that I know, okay, and I know, and he knows that I know. So okay, that's fine. So, and then he said to me, and everything he was about to say, I knew because I seen it all, right? So it's just like, wow, but it just clarified to me because he said it in human format, and I'm like, whoa, this is so trippy, right? So and it made me feel, I guess, good because that I wasn't making stuff up, in the meditations. He said, from now on, this color, I was wearing black. He said, I said, I know. He said, okay. He said, so you know the colors? I said, yeah, I know the colors. So if you watch any of the content that was put before September 2019, every video, I believed in just wearing one thing every single day, easy, don't need to think about it. That whole,
that's Steve Jobs
people
thing,
think about. So I used to wear black every single day, no other color. And so you see that suddenly one day it's all no longer black and never, right? And then he said, so a few things, and these are the things that I didn't know. When you go back to UK, keep all family and relationship and these affairs, keep it all intact. Don't disturb the energies. That's what he said. That was very abstract to me. I didn't know, but I still didn't quite know what he's talking about. So anyway, I go back to UK. Imagine, like 30 days physically in caves and on the mountains and Himalayas.
You go back to the UK, there's another hole in the door, and you're like, oh,
and then like 2 years in other dimensions and doing other practices. I go back to UK, and I'm so peaceful and blissful on different level, not the one before. Yet my physical was so much in action. So what does that mean? I went back to the organization that we had, the events organization. And I went back and I said, we need to do this, and we need to put this event up, and we need to tell the people this, and we need to gather them up and do this and do that. Then some of the people were being slow. I fired them. I witnessed myself fire them. Now, those who knew me pre-2019 September knew that I was the happy and everything. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We didn't make that much money, but I didn't care. That was not my goal. My goal was if I could help people and the whole team can have a good time every day, we make money and get a yacht, go out, party, do this, do whatever. That's ideal. Don't need to build anything up. So it doesn't matter, give and take, you know, it doesn't matter. There's some people late, doesn't matter. You know, you're tired today, just take the day off, it's okay, you know. And you want to go wherever to eat, with your loved one, or it's Valentine, I'll pay for it. You guys go for it. I used to be like that. Then this moment, suddenly I'm witnessing myself say, maybe this is not the journey for you. So maybe find another job that doesn't require you to work so hard. That's what I was saying to people, but I witnessed myself saying it while the past me was seeing the now me. I was the Eric Ho, let's refer like that easier, was saying, that's really harsh. You shouldn't speak to people like that. Or you shouldn't do that. Or he's a nice guy. Or she's a nice person. And I seen it was all pushing towards work. But inside, there was no thought of for money. So I'm just witnessing this. I'm like, why am I so hardworking suddenly? Because I had been very relaxed for the past 5-6 years, you know, and not really that bothered. And that's how I was. And then 3 weeks later, we had an event in San Diego for around 300 people. So I was in San Diego, I get onto stage, and imagine this is my old following.
So they don't know who this guy is that's coming up now, yeah.
And by the way, I was right now, I feel the most casual I've been since the mountains, right? It took time. Because when I first came back from the mountains, so imagine I'm just sat there, all chakras aligned. I'm always very conscious about all chakras aligned, sit there, you know, legs are crossed, Sukhasana, palms are up. And, you know, I'm just like, okay, so I'm answering questions. And suddenly they're like, who's this person? And in front of the 300 community we had at the time, I said, dark ages are here. Everybody needs to build up mentally, physically, and also with regards to financially. You all need to have plans in terms of how you're going to build to protect for future. Now everybody was listening to that thinking, why is he speaking like that? What's going on? And I said this. I said, I'm not going to say all of this in public because this is not for public to understand. I said, I'm going to run a private session, and in the private session this weekend, I will explain to those who need it. So imagine, naturally filtered out, 200 people didn't come to that evening session. 100 people came. But I knew at that time, they're not supposed to be here because they don't get what I was talking about. They thought he's gone crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And at that recorded event, we still have the recordings and you can find it on social media as well. I said, this was in August 2019. I said, war, health, a panic globally, financial crisis. I said, all of this is coming. I said, if you guys want to, what you guys need to do, you need to equip yourself. Body health needs to be strong. Mentally needs to build up strong. Keep building yourself, practicing. Yoga will help. Breathwork will help. This type of stuff will help. And aside from that, in the physical, how are you taking care of your finances right now? I said, if you know that this is happening and you build up your finances in the best way right now, build your wealth consciousness, and what you do here and what you can do in the next coming 2-3 years, you will be able to accumulate. When you accumulate, the first part for all of you on the level of journey that you're at will be for you because you never experienced that wealth before, so it's natural. But I said, then you will come the excess of the first part. I said that you will need to do to be able to help the people when all the war and everything breaks out, because there's going to be a lot of people needing your help. That was my very serious conversation. Obviously, people are like, at that point, what's going on?
They're like, he's changed. Now we all got to change too at the same time, yeah.
And then a few weeks, we went back to UK. Then Australia forest fires. That was one of the first things. Earthquake, volcano eruption, Philippines. A lot of people died. Riots in Hong Kong started kicking off. then there's first signs of coronavirus, and then lockdown, pandemic in March. And when that happened, some student had put a video out. They seen, because they had the recording from San Diego, Master Sri Akarshana's predictions. And and people said, "Hey, I seen your prediction." I said, "It's not predictions, dude. I told you." You know, and people thought I was crazy at that time. I came back. I said, "I told you." But anyway, it's past. Nobody needs to prove anything. I said, as long as everybody is working on their health and everything. Everything kicked off, and now we're here. War, very recent now, is starting. It's only starting. We're not there. Financial crisis, nowhere near. And this is the biggest one ever. It's not just for people who care about finances. It affects everybody, mental health, everything. And so there's going to be a lot of things. And I don't want anybody who's listening to this podcast show be like, "Oh my God, that's really scary and it's really dark and all the rest."
Be scared. The death of the Queen is a major thing as well. That's going to change everything.
But it's not. But that's not the message. The message is, look, if you have an idea, and again, let's make it logical. It's not far-fetched. Every 12 to 15 years, there's always another cycle. We've seen it every single time. There always has to be. So it's going to happen. It's not prediction. It's just how things work. It goes up, it comes down, you know? So if we just understand that, importance is look after health, look after wealth, look after mental mindset. Build yourself on that, because it's going to be required in the coming days, you know?
It's going to be essential. What is, see, this is a good thing. So usually before I do podcasts with people, I have questions for them. Something told me, don't have any questions set out for you, because I knew the vibe that was, and I knew that we were going to be talking very flowy and it was going to go everywhere. But then the other part of me said, okay, just put some questions down. But I realized that I haven't got to any of those questions. And there's a reason for that. They weren't meant to be asked. So we'll leave them. What's the first and last thing you think about in a day? That was one of the questions I want to ask that one.
The first and last things?
First thing you think about in the morning, and the last thing you think about at night.
First thing I think about when I wake up in the morning is breath, is life. Therefore, gratitude will come. I don't make an attempt to do gratitude journal or anything, but the moment I wake up is breath. And naturally will come peace and happiness. So that will come. Then it's workout. Very important. Move the body. Get the energies moving, you know. Last thing before I sleep is how to get rid of all social media and how to get rid of all technology, and how to get the best sleep. That is what I think about.
How important is intent in life?
How important is?
Intent.
Intent is everything. It's everything. Everything starts from intent. Yeah. Whether anybody can succeed or not, that's not a problem. Whether you get the result you want or not is not important. Where did the intent come from? It accounts for a lot in how the universe delivers. Even if you do a beautiful act, a gesture, helping people, but it wasn't a pure intent, universe still responds. You know? So even if you get some things wrong and you make mistakes, but it was a pure intent, universe responds. So, yeah.
And I suppose, since we were talking about the death subject, because essentially...
Before you get there, there's one thing.
Tell me.
Because with intent needs to be there. Detachment to the outcome needs to be there. That is what people can't really wrap their head around. Intend and not want the outcome. Yeah.
In every phase. That's why I really like Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Because his message is like, I don't care about all this stuff. I'm trying to help you guys, and I don't want a thanks or anything like that. It's like, and you can see in certain people that they're genuine in what they do. Do you know what I mean? But to talk about, you've really calmed me down now throughout this whole conversation. I'm going to sleep and go into some dimensions now. I want to watch that documentary, so send it to me and I'm going to watch it while I sleep because I want to join in. essentially we die 3 times, right? So there's the death before birth, then there's the death here, and then there's the death when everything about you is wiped away from the universe, right? So let's just say 100 to 150 years from now, there'll be no remnants of you around, right? Do you want to be remembered? Do you want to continue to live after you're living, or does it not matter to you here on in this plane?
We all do, but it's just transformed, it's transmuted. We all do. You can say physical body cannot be found, but your energy is transformed through somebody else.
But it won't be recognizable. That's the point that I'm making. Yeah,
that's a human need.
Yeah, so it's an ego thing, right?
That's not enlightenment. You see, it's not required. Who remembers don't remember anything. It's not required.
If you could leave the viewers with anything now, what would you leave them with? And this one, I want you to look at this camera right here. And
I think it's important to do everything with love, to follow your heart, to trust in that intuition, that feeling that you get when it's that undeniable force of nature and it's just this pull. You can't understand it, but you don't need to understand it. Because when you allow yourself to fully trust with sincerity, pure love and kindness and compassion along the way and everything that you do, miracles will show up. But you also need to take action. You cannot just say, I'm surrendered, and lie in bed and wait for the outcome. So I think the final message for everybody is you got to follow your heart and take action.
I love that. It just reminds me, see, a lot of the things that you say are very relevant to me because I've been seeing things in the last couple of days, and what you touch on kind of full circles it. So I remember seeing something about instinct recently, and it was a guy talking about lions. And he said when a lion has been raised in a cage in a habitat in a zoo, that's all they know. He said, but even the people, when they put that lion in the cage in the zoo, they lock the door. Because even though that lion doesn't know anything about the outside, he still has that instinct that he wants to get out and he wants to eat or he wants to do something. And he was like, it's very similar in life, that even though you're in something, there's still a part of you that something else is out there, right?
They all know.
You know?
Even the people who say they're settled, they're not settled. Deep down inside, they're not. There's some element of fear there.
Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you.
And your new center in Dubai, do you want to talk about that a little bit before we go? Yeah, let's talk about that a little bit. I should have started with that, but
I believe it's going to be the biggest yoga center here in Dubai. We've got a 8,500 square foot unit, and I believe it's very much required here in Dubai, so that people don't just get blinded by all the bling bling, and they remember who they really are. And it would be nice to be able to nurture more people into becoming more consciouspreneurs, heart-based entrepreneurs. And at the same time, it'll be nice because there is actually, and we were quite shocked by this when we first held an event out here. It was actually only a few years ago. We said, we're going on a trip to Dubai, and wherever we go, we like to do a meet and greet. So actually that wasn't even an event. We just said, let's just put a meet and greet out to the YouTube. And we just put, okay, $19 cover the cost of the hotel venue. So we put $19 meet and greet, you know, and I put it out 2 days before I arrived in Dubai. We were only here for 3 days. 250 people bought tickets, and it was just when lockdown happened.
Wow.
And there was all these restrictions, all these problems happened at the door and everything, but they all arrived. And that was probably one of the first signs from the universe that there is this demand of manifestation or consciousness or spirituality here in Dubai. So it would be nice to be able to build a beautiful community here and spread that message of love, positivity, and also wealth consciousness.
I'm going to put all your social tags in the description so people can reach that. I'd love to come and do some yoga with you in the new place, but I want to start on day 4.
I get you to put your right knee on.
No, that's what I'm saying. You didn't let me finish. Shoulder. I want to start on day 4. The sleep part and the astral projection. I'm not very flexible right now, so day 1, 2, and 3 is fine. I'll skip those days. It's been an absolute pleasure, and thanks for taking out the time and coming down here.
Thank you for having me.
Time flies when we're having fun, and we'll get you on again in the future, and we can talk about the next level, because I'm sure that you're going to keep leveling up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Guys, I've been AJ. Thanks for tuning in. Boom.